The adrenal gland, almost everybody's heard of their adrenal glands. When you think of the stress response, most people think of their adrenals. I should probably be calling it suprarenal because that is what the Termina Anatomica calls it, but most people call it adrenal, and so I'm going to kind of go with that because I think it'll be a more familiar term for you. The adrenal gland lives on the posterior body wall. So if you think about where your kidneys are, which is kind of right underneath those last two floating ribs, your adrenal gland is very close to that. It's immediately superior to the kidney. So here's our kidney here, and here's our suprarenal or adrenal gland here. In this image you can see we've taken away almost all of the other fascia, and here's our kidney, and here's our suprarenal. They're pretty big. There are superior, middle, and inferior arteries and veins that are the blood supply for the adrenal gland, and it's important that you have a really good blood supply because, of course, as an endocrine gland, it's going to secrete into that vasculature so that its hormones can be distributed throughout the body. There are two parts to the adrenal gland. We have a medulla, which is in the middle medulla here, and we have a cortex, which is on the outside. So it forms the outer rim. The adrenal medulla is stimulated by the sympathetic nervous system. So when you're having a stress response, the fight or flight response, the adrenal medulla will also be activated, and it has a ton of cells in it that make epinephrine and norepinephrine, and those are the hormones and neurotransmitters that are involved in the fight or flight response. So if stimulus causes a fight or flight response in your autonomics, it'll also incorporate or recruit the adrenal medulla to secrete more epinephrine. The adrenal cortex is the outer part of the adrenal gland, and it is what is controlled by the anterior pituitary. So the adrenal cortex is this outer layer, and it has three sublayers called the zona glomerulosa, the zona fasciculata, and the zona reticularis. And these were named by the early histologists who thought that they looked a certain way, and so they gave them these names. Control of the adrenal gland from an endocrine point of view begins at the hypothalamus. In the hypothalamus, we have the arcuate and periventricular nuclei releasing, up here, releasing corticotropin-releasing hormone into the anterior pituitary. The anterior pituitary then releases adrenocorticotropic hormone, which then activates the adrenal cortex. The adrenal cortex then creates corticosteroids. There are three different corticosteroids made by the three different layers of the adrenal cortex, and these include the mineralocorticoids, the glucocorticoids, and androgens. And in the next subsections of this lecture, we'll talk about each layer, each of these different corticosteroids and their effects in the rest of the body.